Hi and welcome to the Elicit live stream number 3. I'm Andreas. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Elicit, and Elicit is an AI research assistant. So you can tell from my background, I'm currently in a little WeWork cubicle, so that'll be a little bit different. I will once again do this thing that I do every week, which is I'll pick some research topic that I know nothing about. I have zero prep. I'll have a time limit of 45 minutes. Timer is already running this time, and we'll see how far we get. The hope is to do some learning in public, hopefully not too public. I think probably have between 0 and 1 viewers today, which is exactly how I like it. So don't tell anyone about this live stream. I'll be researching this random topic, and I'll be doing it using Elicit in part to learn better how to improve Elicit as a product. If you want to suggest topics for future live streams, you can do so in the comments. For today, I thought I would take the topic of recruiting. I'm currently thinking a lot about how to recruit good people for Elicit, and I don't know if any literature exists on this and whether it is any good. So this will be as new to me as it will be for you. And specifically within recruiting, the topic that I'm most interested in is sourcing. So most effective approaches to find good people, and within good people, I think I'm specifically interested in software engineers. So we can approach this on different levels of abstraction. I'm once again going to use a beta notebook interface. We're shipping that to the first users next week, I think on Monday or Tuesday. So if you want to use it, go to Elicit, subscribe to Plus. Let's start. Let's start with the research question. What are good approaches to finding and recruiting strong senior software engineers? You'll see that the interface has changed a little bit from last week. And let's make this view full screen so we can actually look at the table somewhat better. And here we have how to recruit and hire great software engineers. I think what I want to do is I want to know what are the approaches that this article discusses. Make a bulleted list. Let's make it a high accuracy column. Okay, I was not specific enough. I specifically was interested in approaches to sourcing. What are the approaches to sourcing great software engineers? And this article discusses it. Okay, probably many of these do only discuss other aspects of hiring besides sourcing, but let's see if any of them do this. Consider candidates as customers, analytical tools, create effective job descriptions, attend conferences, training programs, pre-hiring. I think this might also be a good example of something where we can use a list of entities, which isn't part of the notebook view that I just used. So I'm going to run this in the background. List of entities is good for creating lists of entities, such as approaches to finding and recruiting strong senior software engineers. And here, I think this is still not specific enough. So I'm going to update this, and instead I'm going to say to sourcing great software engineers, and make all this list only include approaches for finding top of funnel finding great software engineers. Don't include strategies for later in the interview process. In the background, the list of entities query is still running. Okay, and I also want to filter out some of these because not all of these are going to be relevant. Field studies and software engineering research, nope. Teaching software engineering, nope. Educating software engineering leaders, nope. And I think actually I really also care about having more recent articles here, because some of the old ones are probably going to be quite a lot less relevant because the software engineering industry has changed so much. In the background, okay, we have finished the list of entities query, and actually this always generates a long list of answers by combing through the literature, and I think some of these could be good. Mining GitHub for developers with relevant project experience. I'm going to start keeping track of some of these. Let's also record our question, which is, what are good approaches to finding and recruiting strong senior software engineers? Topcoder, yeah, why not? Semantic matching. I've actually tried this a little bit. I think this is a good idea to use semantic ranking of candidates. Networking and referrals, obviously. Building talent pools, LinkedIn sourcing, StackOverflow. Open source contributions is one way to use GitHub. Partnering with universities, more relevant. I think that's actually more relevant to junior software engineers. Recruiters, cold email outreach. Interesting here, they use a model to judge users who have specialty and specific skills as well as general knowledge areas. Engineering faculty, search firms, strategic partnerships. I wonder if there are other strategic partnerships that could be useful for recruiting. So attending meetups. Networking events, employee referral programs. Webinars and virtual events. I think those are actually underrated. as recruiting agencies. Haven't had too much luck with those. Thought leadership. Hopefully this live stream is a thought leadership activity. Tech blogs and publications is one way of doing, I guess, quote-unquote thought leadership. Have a careers page, of course. Alumni Networks. I think alumni networks of other companies are pretty strong. Okay, so these are some ideas. I think they're pretty standard ideas. I'm gonna now go back here and I will get some more papers, filter them down, and then use the new chat functionality in beta that we just built to summarize those. Requirements engineering, not relevant. Teaching software. Okay, what is this one is pretty relevant. Yeah, a lot of these are about using crowdsourcing platforms for doing research on software engineers. Okay, this is more relevant. Now I use the show more like start functionality on this initial very relevant seeming paper. I think that might surface some more, like building great software engineering teams. Education. I think there probably just isn't a ton of relevant research on the sourcing process itself, which makes sense. It's not, I don't think it's a typical scientific domain. So let's assume that that's the first set of papers that we have to work with. And oh, I do not have chat enabled on this one. We can start by summarizing the selected papers. I think the most relevant ones here might be worth looking into it. Oh, did not want to do this. Semantic Scholar and building great software engineering teams. Looks like neither of those are open access. Seems worth keeping in mind for later. Okay, now previously we extracted this column with approaches to sourcing. I think that is still worth reviewing so that we can make our document on approaches to sourcing more complete. Job boards and career portals. I found those to be quite useless for hiring senior people. Contests. I think contests are also less likely to attract more senior people who don't have much time. Contract to hire arrangements. Those can be good sometimes. I'm intrigued by this performing stunts to attract attention. Maybe we should do more of that. Ooh, talent honeypot. Job ads and recruit. Okay, so this was specifically for finding and recruiting strong senior software engineers. And we have the summary here. I think the next thing I would like to do is consider alternatives in terms of domains, because maybe there are ways to source talent that are used in other domains that are not used as much for software engineers and that we could still learn from. So let's try a variation where we say, what are good approaches for sourcing talent? That is, how can we create a great top of funnel for our hiring pool? And what we'd actually like to know here is, does this propose a concrete strategy for sourcing talent, that is, for creating a great funnel hiring pool? Going to make this into a high quality column, and then I think I want to filter by this one being yes. Actually, let's load more papers, because some of them, for some of them, the answer is not going to be yes. And to make that work better, let's say yes or no. Only say yes or no. Okay, some yeses, some no's. I'm gonna filter by this one being yes. And then I will ask, what is the concrete strategy proposed for sourcing talent? Describe concrete enough in enough concrete detail for me to implement the strategy. Yeah, this was a low confidence row. Some of these obviously only have the abstracts available, and for those the strategy is not going to be as detailed. So we can run the same query with a filter for PDF available and see what that says. Okay, here. I'm gonna once again save the information in this doc. Effectively using data analytics, something very useful here, balancing tool development, modular training, track the performance of all partners in the talent sourcing process. Yeah, I do think that is pretty important. Offer competitive salaries. Yeah, clearly define what you're even looking for. Custom white net. Organizing an open house. I think that is a relatively good idea. Let's see if there are any surprising ideas. Are there any surprising ideas on how to source great talent? What is the most surprising idea mentioned? Idea for sourcing talent mentioned in the paper. I doubt there are any truly surprising ideas here. Limit the number of people involved. Create a partnership with state job services. This may be interesting. Integrating recruiting efforts with overall marketing campaigns. Yeah, I think that is also important because for us, we both want people to use Elicit, the research assistant, but we also want people to work at Elicit, and I think those two groups do have overlap. Using supply chain management principles. Similar to just-in-time production lines. That is an interesting thought. I would like to. I think that is kind of similar to the tracking the performance of all partners, but goes further. Let's look at we can look at the source quotes here. Because you do need to anticipate and fulfill future talent needs. And forecasting the demand of need for future talent obviously is also very important, since it always takes a while to hire people. Okay, I quite like this. Is there anything surprising question here? Maybe we can go back to our original spreadsheet and ask a similar question. What are the most surprising approaches to sourcing talent that are mentioned here? Let's see if there's anything interesting. I guess we cut it down to only a small number of papers. Unlimited vacation. I think that's not very surprising anymore at this point. Pair teams across 2 universities. Sponsored contests, stunts, hiring honeypot. Yeah, maybe sponsored contests on Topcoder or similar. I guess there's really 2 ways to use Topcoder. One is you just look at people who are already ranking highly there, and the other approach is you do sponsor a contest yourself there. Didn't think as much about the sponsoring a contest yourself option. Okay, I want to maybe focus even more on the surprise question. I wonder if we can apply this here too. What are the most surprising ideas for sourcing great software engineers talent? Yeah, let's try that. This is once again going to run a while because this is the long-running list of entities workflow, and I'm going to try the same thing with just a find papers question and see if there are any papers that could come up here that didn't come up before. Okay, I guess not. This is the same book that we saw before. Second one could maybe be relevant. Talent assessment. Gonna once again filter for more recent. In the background, this query is already done. Let's see if we find anything interesting here. Alumni Networks did have that. Gaming competitions. Surprising ideas. The carpentry and do-it-yourself workshops. Hosting coding retreats. We did actually host a Tools for Thought retreat, and that was successful. Remote work platforms, Alumni Networks. Hackathon talent scouting. Not very surprising, but it does make sense. Sponsorship of indie game developers. Online code debugging contests. Stunts. I guess the question is what are such unconventional retention growing activities? We can maybe that's another thing to consider here. Book clubs. Did also run a book club at one point. Sponsored contests. Conferences. Parenting groups, fitness boot camps, escape rooms. Digital nomad communities. Sci-fi conventions. Various sports. All right. What stunts could help us hire, could help us source great talent for our software engineering company? I don't think this is a very good question to ask Elicit. I think that's just not the sort of thing that is discussed much in papers, and probably also won't be that useful to check in list of concepts, but I'm already here, so why not try it? Let's add a column. What suggest a stunt? Suggest a stunt. Stunt column. This is really not the type of question that Elicit is made for, but I will try it and I will see what happens. Yeah, I think proposing some kind of hackathon or software engineering challenge seems to be the default here, and I do think that can be a good idea. Midnight Madness hackathon. Offer a limited time bonus for new applicants. Send out mystery boxes. VR initiatives. I think something related to Vision Pro could be relevant here. Talent Hunt road trip. I think Sam Altman basically did that. Yeah, various kinds of hackathons. Extreme interview locations like hot air balloons or remote retreats. Take tarot reading. Okay, so where we're at is we've used up everything except for 10 minutes of our time, and brainstormed some standard approaches to finding and recruiting strong software engineers. We then thought about sourcing more generally, not just for software engineers. I think using supply chain management principles is actually a good idea. I should follow up on that. We tried to get some surprising ideas and stunts. I think those were of limited value. And maybe at this point, what I want to do with the last few minutes is figure out what are these supply chain management principles. Like what are the core supply chain management principles? And that actually I'm gonna do that once again with both list of entities and here as a find papers question for the core supply chain principles mentioned. I can bullet the list per line, one principle per line. In the background, it's loading papers. So here we have segment customers based on their service needs, drive operations from demand, differentiate products closer to the customer, source strategically, use performance measures. Let's go back to this list, information sharing, lean principles. Continuous feedback to suppliers. We'll have to think about how these transfer to the domain of sourcing in a moment. How each activity adds value to the service of product, and then optimizing those for maximum efficiency. Creating transparency so that you can actually see what's going on. Continuous improvement. Supplier and customer relationship management. I think supplier relationship management is pretty important, where your supplier is people who refer candidates to you. Yeah, demand forecasting. I think we saw that earlier. Yeah, what is the speed? I think they didn't exactly say that, but like measuring flow speed, something like that. It seems pretty important. What's the time for each step in the pipeline? Risk management. Something like our calculations. Quality management at various steps. Okay, there's a few more. We're almost out of time. We have 4 minutes left. But I think what this suggests is maybe more of a first principles approach, where you're like, well, the goal is to hire XYZ people, and then to go back and think about what's the causal chain that leads to them being hired, or the potential sources, and then organizing everything else in a causal graph that leads to the desired outcome, and thinking about what's the ROI of various interventions on that causal graph, and thinking about like any of these specific cases as particular interventions for which we can compute the ROI. So what are our key findings here? And if we had to do some concrete things, I think sponsored contexts I had not per se considered much before. I think Kaggle is another instance here. We have done webinars before. I think those are worth doing, and I think we should perform more stunts, clearly. And then the supply chain principles, I think those don't give an immediate answer, but I think it's useful for thinking through the pipeline better from first principles. We could do an open house. I think that's actually pretty easy. Could do it also, could be regular. Could just invite some people to our office. Could be some AR stunts, although maybe I'm less excited about some of the ideas here that don't directly contribute to our product roadmap. All right, I think we're already ending, nearing the end of our live stream here. As usual, thanks for joining me, and if you liked it, subscribe, hit the like button. See you next time, and I expect by next time I will already have a much more interesting version of notebooks to show to you.